James Kaufman, World News Report today, July 10th, 2025. God bless you and yours, no matter where you are in the world. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell for critical future updates. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you an update on Mount Rainier, and it's still looking pretty ugly. Meanwhile, the largest earthquake on the globe is right over here in Tonga, part of Zealandia Rising. We have lots of 5-1s to join that. A 5-0 here, a 5-0 here, etc. We're also going to explain this odd, or what seems like an odd, earthquake here. Now let's get going. First off, these are all fracking earthquakes. There are a lot of them, and that does indicate these plates are charged. These are all fracking earthquakes as well. This is not a New Madrid earthquake. This is the New Madrid that runs through here. And this earthquake over in Tennessee, well, it's actually on a hazard. I just happen to know it's right in the middle of this hazard here, which explains the earthquake itself. Now, turning that off and moving over to Washington State to take a look at Mount Rainier. It doesn't look bad until you zoom in. Remember, these are all new earthquakes in the last 24 hours. And we're talking about 82 earthquakes. Everything in red here, well, everything in red is going to be something that occurred in the last hour. Everything in orange is something that has occurred in the last 24 hours. So you can see that the swarm is ongoing for sure. We'll take a look at this over here at negative 2.6. So in the 8,000 feet above sea level range, the mountain we decided was just over 14,400 feet. And we'll see if there's anything further up in the cone than that. But these are all up in the cone. Negative 1.3. None of the quakes are very large, but they're all centered on the crest of the cone, which tells you that's magma pushing at the top of that fissure, or the opening in the crest of the cone. I don't see anything that looks like it's going to break the top of the crest there quite yet, but the swarm itself should worry everyone. Now I know there's a negative 2.4. We had a negative 2.7 yesterday, which was just a couple thousand feet below breaking out into a full-fledged volcanic eruption. Now that's all. There's a 2.7 right there. That's all this is when magma breaks through the crest of one of these volcanoes, i.e., that's what we call an eruption. Let's see if we have anything that's going to be any higher up in the volcano than the negative 2.7, which is just a few thousand feet below the top of Mount Rainier. And it looks like everything else, although there are quite a few of them to go through, are not quite as far to the crest as that one earthquake was. Now remember, everything you're seeing here happened within the last 24 hours, period. And again, we're looking at 81. You could almost say that there was a downtick since yesterday when we had 100 earthquakes on the crest, but not much of one. They could catch up really quickly, and we could see much larger quakes here, and we could see quakes that are much closer to the crest or the top of Mount Rainier. So I would say that the swarm itself indicates that we could be fairly close to an actual volcanic eruption. What is strange is we're not seeing any activity in Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, or Mount Hood, These are the Cascades, volcanoes associated with the Cascadia Subduction zone, where the Juan de Fuca plate is being pushed under the North American plate, forcing magma to the surface. I will show you all a schematic of that. This is Mount St. Helens here, Mount Adams here, and Mount Hood here, all part of the Cascades, but we don't see any activity in any of these other volcanoes, not a single earthquake. Now the energy regularly pushes down from the northwest, but we also don't see any activity in this volcano up here, Mount Olympic. So we do have some questions about this swarm. Our questions would be, why don't we see any activity from any of the other active volcanoes in this area? Here is our Cascadia Subduction zone in action. What we see here is the Juan de Fuca plate here, stuck between the Pacific plate here and the North American plate here. And it's being pushed under the North American plate, forcing magma to the top of the Cascades, Mount Rainier being one of the Cascade volcanoes. And that is how this is working out. Now there is one problem with this. That problem, one would expect to see more earthquake activity associated with the Juan de Fuca plate, which is subsiding under the North American plate, pushing the magma up into the Cascades. Or maybe on the North American plate here, plate boundary, also known as the San Andreas Fault for all you Grand Theft Auto players. Or we would expect to see more activity where the Pacific plate here meets the Juan de Fuca plate here. And we see, well, a little activity. And I do mean a little activity. So that's really what's missing from this whole mechanism playing out. With that said, God bless. Please share, subscribe, and always remember that anything's possible in Bizarro World.